Founders treat every task at their company as if it is their job, having 20 plus jobs. But the most successful founders only focus on these four. Every founder I back starts off in the beginning doing everything because at the beginning, everything needs to be done. But the issue here is that no one tells the founder when to stop doing those things. So now I'm going to give you the permission to release the 20 jobs that you have, the 20 plus jobs that you might have in front of you, and only focus on these four. The other plus 16 jobs are all distracting you. Your job is to be FTF, first things first. All right. The number one focus for you, my opinion, is to build the machine that runs the company. What is the machine? The machine are the people, the humans that are going to be in the office. My opinion, you are the chief recruiter. Your job should be spent on finding the best talent in the world to come work at your company, your rocket ship. You should have a strong enough offer, a strong enough pitch that any single person that you meet will want to drop everything that they're doing to come work for you, whether they're working at another company, whether they're working on their own company. Think about this example. So many people have left their own company, even that they started, to go work at Anthropic or to go work at OpenAI. Why? Because Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and Dario, the CEO of Anthropic, have created such a enterprising offer, such a juicy opportunity that a CEO of a multi-billion dollar company will drop their post to come work at a bigger rocket ship. So your job is to always be recruiting. What does this mean? You recruit people that are unrecruitable. When you recruit people that are unrecruitable, unhireable, not looking to hire, those are the best people. So you should be always finding out different ways to leverage your business to introduce people to what you're doing. So that can be through dinners, that can be through events like sporting events, inviting people out to Formula One, to a basketball game, to the World Cup, etc. That could also be reaching out to people on big holidays or big accomplishments. So it could be their child's birthday, it can be their birthday, it can be their wedding anniversary, it can be anything, it could be their kids graduate from school. How do you find ways to be top of mind for the most talented people that you ever met? So that if and when you have to make that ask for them to join you, it's a no brainer. Your job is to recruit the best talent. Why is this the number one thing and the most important? My opinion, when you recruit superstar people, it frees you up to be super successful. Think about Steph Curry, LeBron James, think about SGA from the Thunder, or even think about my New York Knicks. Look at the Knicks. When you recruit amazing people around a superstar, it lets that superstar do its thing. And when that superstar can shine, it makes everyone else better. So your job is to make sure that you're building this all-star team that can go out there and win the Formula One race, can win the World Cup, or can win that NBA championship like the New York Knicks that have been waiting for 50 plus years.
If I have a new one and I'm still on pace, still here, skyline, main stage, my time. I've been trading crowds for my own space. Honestly, that feels like a win.
Okay, a few quick tips when you are focused on hiring. Number one is references, references, references. Your job is to speak to every single person that you can get in contact with that has worked with this person previously. So, former boss, former colleague, former professor, someone who went to high school with them, someone who went to business school with them. Get all of the references on personality, uh, work product, and one of my favorite questions that I've heard when someone was doing a reference for someone I worked with before, they said, if so and so leaves our company in the next less than 1 year, what would be the reason why they left? And that makes you really jump forward. And in my opinion, the reason why this person who used to be an intern at Harlem Capital would leave is because they found a job at like one of these hyperscale OpenAI or Anthropic companies. And I think that that shows good character. If someone answers that question by saying they were too hard-headed or they quit to, maybe they could quit to start their own company. But realistically, as long as you're not saying something bad in a question like that, typically that means that this person is super ambitious, they're super strong, they want to work with them again. Other questions you can ask: would you ever invest with this person? Would you ever start a company with this person? Those are all unique ways to ask, how exceptional is this person that I'm potentially thinking about hiring? And so my job in this video, specifically in this section, is to help you not be the founder who is doing more and doing the most, but be the founder who is hiring the best. Focus area number 2. You are the owner of the business, not a senior employee. This is one of the hardest places because, again, when you found a business, you want to be involved and do everything, which is essentially you being a founder and an individual contributor. We call those ICs. The job of a founder in an IC is to get the business off the ground. You have to do every single thing, which typically you are not good at every single thing, but you're good enough to get the company off the ground. And the biggest transition point that I've seen over the 70 plus management teams that we invested in is a founder going from an individual contributor to a CEO and a manager. So that means delegating, releasing responsibilities, hiring, like I talked about in the past. When you can actually go from 0 to 1, Peter Thiel, and you can start to hire people who free you up, then you can actually become a great leader. Becoming a great leader is a challenge. You're going to have to focus on culture. You're going to focus on storytelling. So not only are you storytelling to recruit people, you're storytelling to help with customers, you're storytelling to help have the company and morale be in a good place. You're storytelling to just like the outward public. You have to do all these different things. You have to focus on how do you nurture and grow people so that they're incentivized to stay with you for the long term. This is hard. Going from 0 to 1 is hard. And then the next one is like going from 1 to 5. And this, what I'm talking about here is revenue. 1 million to 5 million, then 5 million to 15 or 20 million, then 20 million to 50 million, and 50 million to the 100 million. At every single one of those different clips, you will have to evolve as a founder. You have to hire executives. You have to fire people. There's just so much that comes with being a leader. And so in this place, your job is to focus on becoming someone that people actually want to follow. That will change the way that you come to work every day. That will change the way that you do things by example. That will change the way you hire. Because if people don't want to actually follow you, your company will never get off the ground. Because you have to have exceptional people who are actually better than you at certain things, marketing, sales, etc., but can't be as great of a leader as you. And so that's why they're following you, because they rather be working using their expertise with a great leader than be the leader themselves. And so that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of understanding how to go from just being an individual contributor to managing people.
I don't get tired, I run on the drive. My circle is small, but the vision's alive. My phone's blowing up with the deals in place, but I'm still in the zone and it's silent like days. They empty the hate, but the clip is all blanks. Quick, I just level up, moving through ranks. I'm just so.
So I just want to call out that this might be one of the biggest leaps as a founder. Going from a founder and being just an individual contributor and overcoming that gap to becoming a CEO and a manager is a big deal. And so for focus number 3, which I call work on yourself, this is when we leverage experts, we leverage coaches, and we leverage all those things to take ourselves to the next level. And so I have a great quote here: work harder on yourself than you do on your job. It's a quote by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was the mentor to Tony Robbins. And when I heard this quote, when I was just getting started in investing, it blew me away because I realized how hard I worked on my job and how little time I worked on who I was as an individual, who I was becoming. And working on who you're becoming is actually so much more important than what you do, because who you become almost like increases the level of capability of what you're able to do. So I'll give you an example, personal example for me. About 4 years ago, when I was really taking Harlem Capital more seriously, when we were kind of like early in our late 20s, if you will, I got a business coach. The reason why I got a business coach was because I wanted someone who had been CEO of multiple companies, someone who had gray hair, and someone who could help me overcome my imposter syndrome. And so I found someone who I admired greatly, who ran a multi-billion-dollar real estate business. And he was in this group called YPO, Young Professionals Organizations, but it's a bunch of CEOs. And I asked him for his coach. So that's point number one. Point number one is meet someone inspiring and ask them for an introduction to their coach. And then once I got introduced to my coach, he gave me so many frameworks. He gave me so many frameworks of how you be accountable. An example for how to be accountable is like you need to have clear expectations and you got to have clear deadlines. If people don't have clear expectations and clear deadlines, they don't know what they need to do. Okay, once you have clear expectations and clear deadlines, now what? Well, what does success look like? So success looks like it can be broken down into two things. One is behaviors and activities, and the second thing is deliverables. So behaviors and activities are things you do every day. It could be coming to work, doing a daily report. Those are things that you do all the time on a go forward basis. A deliverable is one thing that needs to be done. I have a report that goes to this individual once a year, or I do my taxes. That's a deliverable. And so how do you leverage these frameworks and leverage those to be accountable and successful in your business? That was one really big breakthrough and strategy point that I worked on with my coach. Now, after 4+ years of working with my coach works with my team. So you can also do that. If you start working with a coach, your coach can work with your executive team. And realistically, your coach can tell you who's not performing, who's scared, what their blockers are, what their gaps are, and potentially if someone is not fit to work at the company, right? Or if they're not the right person to get to where you want to be. These are things that you cannot just do by yourself. You need to enlist experts. I know I talk about peak performance and sports a lot, but if you think about it, business is the longest running sport. You can play business from your teens until your 80s or 90s. You can't play any sport that long. So if you're going to play a sport that long, you got to have the right coaches.
Yeah, let's go, let's go. They see me glowing, they watching. My system blowing, they plotting. And they trying to catch me.
Focus number 4, build the system that generates revenue. This is important. If you want to be a big time entrepreneur, you got to be a shark, a killer in sales. And typically what I suggest for founders is founder-led sales. There's this jargon called founder-led sales, where the founder leads all sales for a period of time at the beginning of the company. I think for sure you should lead sales well through 1 million in revenue. Some people lead sales through almost 5 million in revenue. But the way you scale is by being able to create a system that is predictable and repeatable, where you can say, hey, I can budget out over the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months, and I can predict the repeatability of being able to close a customer because I built out every single part of the funnel, the top of the funnel, the mid of the funnel, the script, the onboarding, the nurturing, the customer service, all of those things you have to do as a founder. And then you have to basically build out the entire framework, structure, all of these steps to follow, and then you have to start hiring sales folks. And you have to put those sales folks through the ringer. Typically, when you hire sales folks, you got to hire 3 at a time, if not more, because you want them to compete against each other. You want to see who is the best out of these 2 or 3 people. Typically, you're going to fire one. So that's something else you got to be focused on. Like, if people don't perform, they have to be let go. And when you are building out this sales organization, I'm okay with having a scoreboard. Say you have 10 salespeople. How are all 10 salespeople doing? And do all 10 know exactly how each other are doing? Social pressure is one of the most important ways to incentivize people. 1 is free, and 2 is self-motivating. And so as you become a great salesperson at your company and you start to hire people, you can know if you have product market fit. What is product market fit? Product market fit is when you are able to sell your product and service at a fair price and the market buys it over and over and over again. And then when you have found scale is when you can actually hand that playbook off, that sales playbook off to someone else in your team, and they can also close business repeatedly time and time again. That is how you build a successful business, where you've built a product and a sales playbook that is so strong that pretty much every well-to-do salesperson that can come off the street can close sales for you. That is when you're in a very successful place. That's where you can scale the business and potentially IPO, or that's when you have built a strong product that people want to acquire. There was a stretch when here at Harlem Capital, all the partners did everything. And we had 20 plus jobs ourselves. And we realized we reframed everything. We worked with our career coach and we worked with the storytelling coach, and we did jam sessions where we locked ourselves in a room and said, what can we cut? What can we cut? And kept cutting to the point where now our number 1 mantra at the firm is first things first. And so first things first means you got to say no a lot. And so you have to do that as a founder. What are you going to do to say no? How are you going to focus on these 4 things that will take your business to the next level?
I didn't hit the scene